You were standing at the edge of frozen water. The ice looks solid. It looks safe. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice tells you not to take another step. You probably can't explain where that voice came from. But for thousands of children across the Arctic, that voice had a name, a face, and a pair of webbed hands waiting just beneath the surface. She was called the Qalupalik, and she was never real. But the fear she created was real enough to keep children alive for generations. This is a story about a monster, but it's really a story about how the human brain learns to survive. Picture the Arctic, not the postcard version, the real one. Endless white. Temperatures that can kill an unprotected child in minutes. Ice that looks thick enough to walk on until it isn't. For Inuit communities living across what is now Alaska and northern Canada, this landscape was home. It was also lethal, and the people who lived there for thousands of years needed a way to teach their children one simple, urgent lesson. Stay away from the water's edge. You could try explaining hydrodynamics to a 4-year-old. You could try lecturing them about hypothermia and thin ice fractures. But small children don't remember lectures. They remember stories. They remember fear. So elders did something far more effective than a warning. They built a monster. Her name was Qalupalik, sometimes written as Qallupilluit, and her legend spread across Inuit oral tradition with remarkable consistency. She lived beneath the ice in the cold, dark water just past where the shoreline ends. She had greenish, scaled skin, long hair that moved like seaweed, fins along her head or arms, and hands tipped with claws built for one purpose: grabbing. But here's where the story gets strange. She didn't chase children. She didn't need to. She sang. A low, humming chant drifting up from beneath the ice, just loud enough to catch a wandering child's curiosity, just sweet enough to pull them one step closer to the water's edge. And once they were close enough, she would surface, scoop them into the hood of her amautik, a traditional parka with a built-in baby pouch on the back, and disappear beneath the water before anyone could stop her. Think about that detail for a second. The amautik is not a monster's tool, it's a mother's tool. Real Inuit mothers carried their infants in exactly this kind of pouch. The Qalupalik wasn't designed to look alien or unfamiliar. She was designed to look like a dark, twisted mirror of something every child already trusted. That's not an accident. That's design. Psychologists who study fear-based teaching, including researchers building on the work of developmental psychologist Joseph Ledoux, have long understood that the human amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, responds far more powerfully to vivid, specific imagery than to abstract warnings. Your brain doesn't file away "be careful near water" with much urgency, but it absolutely files away "a creature with claws is waiting to drag you under the ice while you stand at the water's edge." One is information. The other is a memory your nervous system refuses to let go of. This is the quiet genius behind the Qalupalik. It didn't ask children to be rational. It made them afraid in exactly the right place, at exactly the right moment, for exactly the right reason. And the timing of the threat mattered just as much as the imagery. The legend specifically targeted disobedient children, or children who wander too far from the safety of the camp. Folklorist Maria Tatar, who has spent decades studying cautionary tales across cultures, has pointed out that nearly every culture develops some version of a child, luring water spirit precisely because drowning was, and still is, one of the most common preventable causes of death for young children near coastlines, rivers, and ice. The Slavic rusalka, the Scottish kelpie, the German nix, different masks, same warning. Stay back from the water. You can see the pattern now, can't you? These weren't random ghost stories meant to entertain around a fire. They were survival technology, built from generations of accumulated grief and near misses, encoded into a form a 5-year-old could understand and never forget. Anthropologist Bronislaw Malinowski, studying how myth functions inside small, tightly knit communities, described folklore not as primitive superstition but as a working social tool. Myths, he argued, exist to enforce behavior that keeps the group alive, especially in environments with little margin for error. In the Arctic, the margin for error was almost zero. A single moment of curiosity near unstable ice could mean a child never came home. There was no hospital nearby, no rescue helicopter, no second chances. The Qallupalik wasn't cruelty dressed up as a bedtime story. It was love, weaponized into fear, because fear was the only tool fast enough to stop a child before tragedy could.